He's here. He's cheery. Will he be cheery for much longer as we delve into House of Gucci? It's 9:07. We have been on for an hour. We discussed the news. We discussed Encanto, that's it. And now we are delving into House of Gucci.
Yes.
Brand new Ridley Scott film detailing the trials and tribulations of the Gucci family and the relationship with the Patrizia Reggiani in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Can you believe it?
Can you believe it? This film spans 3 decades.
And we didn't even know.
My God, Ryan, this film is a total mess. This film is a mess. Leading up to... I remember when the first image came out.
Oh, what a glorious
of
time.
Adam Driver and Lady Gaga. And Adam Driver was standing there in his white turtleneck.
Yeah.
And Lady Gaga was holding on to him with her big puffy black hat. And they were standing in the Alps. And that photo was released. And
it's like a postcard.
And everybody went, whoa, I want to see this film.
I think everyone went a little bit more than that.
Everyone went insane for how they looked in this film. And rightfully so. Star-studded cast, literally star-studded with actual Academy Award winners and nominations. You've got Lady Gaga, who plays Patrizia Reggiani. I'm having so much fun pronouncing these Italian names.
I can tell.
Oh my God!
No one can see you other than me, but the hand movements.
You gotta have the hand movements,
it's
man.
So
what do you
over
think,
the top.
You think I'm going to keep them still on the desk? Are you insane?
Yeah, exactly.
They got a flail. They got a flail.
Bravo.
And I hope you realize that I will not in any way be saying Gucci. I will be saying Gucci.
Of course.
Gucci.
That's how you're supposed to pronounce
Gucci.
it. Yes.
Oh, it's perfect. I love it so much.
The name was so seductive.
Oh.
We're never going to get through this film.
Well, I know. This is going to be a task. Adam Driver, he drives in this film.
Yes.
This should be a segment. Does Adam Driver drive in the film?
And he does.
He drives in this film. He plays Maurizio Gucci. You have Al Pacino, everyone's favorite Dunkin' Donuts advertiser, salesman. He plays Aldo Gucci. You've got Jeremy Irons as Rodolfo Gucci. You have Jared Leto.
Morbius
himself, the Joker himself.
Of course, yeah, he was the Joker.
As Paolo Gucci.
Yeah.
And Salma Hayek as Pina.
Yes.
And that's basically your main cast that you'll know, and the ones that you'll, want to see it for. And I'll tell you now with a heavy heart, you're only really going to be going to see it for Lady Gaga and Adam Driver. And I'm very sorry if you were excited for either Al Pacino or Jared Leto for whatever real reason. You're going to be sorely disappointed. This film has Lady Gaga and Adam Driver doing very, very well. Terrible accents, but very, very well.
They totally sell it.
Oh, they sell it.
They commit
they
100% to their accents.
I don't think I've ever seen Adam Driver smile more in a film than in this.
Yes.
That man can't wipe that grin from his face. It's gorgeous. And his hair. Oh my God, his hair.
Always on point.
Oh, I wish I had his hair.
Yes. I think everyone does.
And Lady Gaga has some fabulous assets.
Yes.
Lots of great jewelry. The two of them on screen, their chemistry throughout the film is very, very good. From their first scene together to their very last scene together, everything is done very well for them. They are great. Are they Oscar-worthy? Great? No, but they are very good.
I feel like Lady Gaga goes through she goes through the motions.
She does.
From the very introduction to her very final scene. I actually do think, if you were to give like a very over-the-top performance an Oscar nomination this year, she's the one to give it to. I do think she sells it.
Actress or supporting actress?
Actress, yeah. Because she carries this film.
She does.
For a lot of the time.
As much as I enjoyed Adam Driver in this, if you were to pick an Adam Driver role from this year, I believe it would be from Annette.
I love him from Annette. I think, yes.
Still yet to see Annette.
It's so bizarre.
I really want to. I love
bonkers.
a bizarre film.
So bonkers.
So I'd love to see him in that.
But Adam Driver's having a good year, I will say.
Adam Driver has a good year. Adam Driver has had a good year since, the first Star Wars film?
Probably his, first appearance in Girls, that TV show.
Adam Driver's been doing fantastic for himself. I don't think he's done a bad role.
No, he's just a brilliant actor.
He's a brilliant actor.
Yeah.
I love him.
Mm-hmm.
I love him. How tall is he?
He's tall.
He's very tall.
Very tall.
Very tall man.
Especially next to Lady Gaga.
Who's,
that picture, let alone.
Lady Gaga is 5'2".
That is very specific.
Well,
I don't
I know that because isn't her documentary called 5'2"?
Ah, okay. I can't remember what it's called, but I now.
I swear it's called 5'2".
It's on Netflix.
It
Yeah,
is on
I know
Netflix.
what one you're talking about.
Anyway, right. House of Gucci. The
Yes.
way that we talked about this film when we came out of it is that we were both agreed that it was a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Slightly differing on the reasons for it, but somewhat similar. So we think that the main problem here is either Ridley Scott
Yes.
or a very large loss in translation between Ridley Scott and everybody else who worked on this film.
Yes.
So if you want to look at both those points, the crux of the issue is Ridley Scott. He's
Yes.
old. He's an old man now.
Mhm.
He's an old senile man, as you've heard when we did the news. His man's off his nut.
Still does a fantastic job behind the camera.
He does.
I've heard The Last Duel is very good.
He's a fiend, I'm telling
Yes.
you. But I think he has issues communicating with other people, specifically with editors and with some of the actors. This film's editing is borderline god-awful. Not only is this a confusing film, it's got some terribly edited scenes. There is no sense of time.
No, none
At
at all.
all.
And even the senses of time in this film are wrong.
They are wrong. They are incorrect. There are scenes with characters who are revealed to have died next to scenes of other characters taking place when they are dead.
Yes.
It's so strange. There is no sense of time. The music choices in this film, while good and have provided good music that we've been able to listen to on the show today, are odd and strange. There's a wedding set within, I believe it's the mid-70s.
I think it's the late 70s.
Late
we'll
70s.
give them the benefit of the doubt.
Benefit of the doubt. Late 70s.
70s.
But they're playing George Michael's Faith over it.
From 85.
For a song released in 85.
Yeah.
If you're wanting me to think this wedding is in the 70s, why are you playing an 85 song?
Yeah.
It's very odd with the choices they make. It doesn't feel like the choices for songs are period based because they're not doing that. They're just trying to tell a story.
And there's moments in the film, not a lot, but there's moments which a title card will come up at the bottom of the screen saying, "Oh, this time or this year."
It's one moment.
Is it one moment?
It's one moment at the very
I thought there was
end.
a couple, and
no,
I was like, this is
there's
bizarre
one,
how there's only a
because
couple.
When it happened, I instantly thought, why is this the only one we've got?
Exactly, yeah.
And it's not even a relevant thing because it does what
Well, it is relevant.
It's relevant, but it does what most films do where the very start of the film is actually the end.
Yes.
And then by the time you get to the end, you realize it's the end because it's what
end.
you saw first. It's the end. But it's not as if when the film opened, it gave you a date. Because if it did, then the date they give you at the end would be relevant. But it's not. I don't know. It's so weird. It's so weird. Al Pacino and Jared Leto. Terrible.
Okay,
Actually
who do you want to
bad.
go for first? Al Pacino.
Let's go for Al. Let's go for Al.
Yeah.
Let's go for good old Al. Al Pacino is still a fantastic actor.
Absolutely.
As seen by his performances in stuff like The Irishman. And was it that Hunters?
Oh yeah, Hunters. Yeah, the Amazon show.
The Amazon Prime
yeah.
show.
Yeah, he was good in that.
Al Pacino is still a good actor
Yeah.
for his late age. I don't know what happened with him and Ridley Scott, but something happened here, and he's not good.
I think there's elements of a good performance in here, but there's always you've got Al Pacino giving a very reserved performance, but then you've got Al Pacino in Heat, and Al Pacino in Heat is just Al Pacino off the chain, just let loose, devil's advocate Al Pacino. This is like that kind of Al Pacino, but trying to be reserved. It's strange.
It's very strange.
So it's like Scott has said, "Oh, give me the heat and intensity of, let's say, devil's advocate, but restrain it to maybe Godfather level." Doesn't work.
It doesn't work at all. It's very, very all over the place and strange. He has a few good scenes.
There is standout scenes.
There are
with Al
standout
Pacino.
scenes with Al Pacino in which he does well. There's one where he's signing a contract that's actually quite good.
Yes.
But that's about it, and the rest of them are just very boring, I suppose. He does most of the time in his scenes, he's doing the same thing. He's saying the same things. He's doing the same poses and actions, and I don't know. It doesn't really add anything.
Yes.
And don't even get me started on Jared Leto, man.
No, we have to. Jared Leto
sucks.
Bonkers.
I don't know what he's doing.
No.
Cracking cocaine, possibly.
He's in a completely
different
movie from everybody else.
I don't know if Ridley Scott took him to the side and went, listen here, Leto, go crazy. Just go mental. Because that's what he's done.
Yes.
He's so over the top in every pronunciation, in every action he does, in every single scene that Jared Leto was in. It's a comedy.
Yes.
Because he's so ridiculous.
And everything he says is so over the top to the push where you're like, it's got to be a bit of humor.
It has to be a bit of humor.
Yeah.
There has to be a joke there. But it's in a film that's encapsulated with serious moments.
Yes.
There are scenes where characters will sit down and discuss, like, taxes and the profits of Gucci. And it's like, you have this, but then we also have a scene in which Jared Leto is screaming and his scream becomes a car horn.
Yes.
Because it's a scene transition.
We'll get to Jared Leto in a bit, but you've just reminded me. Have you read Tom Ford's review of House of Gucci?
No, I'd love to, though.
Tom Ford famously found, let's say, and started with the designer brand Gucci.
Which you see within the film.
Which you see briefly within the film. But Tom Ford himself has become a film director. And he directed and wrote Nocturnal Animals, which was one of my favourite films of that year, that came out. I think he's an incredible director. So he knows what he's talking about when he discusses films. And this is just like some bits off of the opening paragraph of his review, which I do recommend everyone go read. But it says, I recently survived a screening of the 2-hour and 37-minute film that is House of Gucci. It is a very long film as well, but we'll get to that a little bit later. The shiny, ambitious, beautifully filmed and costume tale of greed and murder is stunning by the sheer number of stars that have been cast. The movie rivals the nighttime soap Dynasty for subtlety, but does so with a much bigger budget. The film is, well, I'm still not quite sure what it is exactly, but somehow I felt as though I had lived through a hurricane when I left the theatre.
Oh my God.
Was it a farce or a gripping tale of greed? I often laughed out loud, but was I supposed to? And those questions are... everyone should be asking those questions.
He has essentially encapsulated exactly the points we're making. This film doesn't know what it wants to be, and I think Ridley Scott doesn't know what he wants this film to be. Maybe he does. Maybe
exactly.
we said there's a chance that Ridley Scott knows exactly what he wants to do, but in the process of getting this onto film, through an editing process, through sound and all this other stuff, and ADR, it's somehow gotten lost in translation. And maybe a director's cut would fix many problems.
Yes.
But maybe it wouldn't, because I don't think a director's cut would fix Jared Leto.
No, I don't think... No, Jared Leto is Jared Leto in this film. Yeah. He is... far and away the most over-the-top campy thing in this film, which totally overthrows...
She's a real firecracker.
It's not even in the film.
It's not even in the film.
It's
in the trailer, but it's not in the film.
Unfortunately, we were waiting eagerly.
It's like the one line we wanted.
But yeah, I think my takeaway from it was that I thought that Ridley Scott is a great director. We can't deny that. Ridley Scott has made absolutely brilliant films. I refuse to believe that he's just went off on one with this film. There is something here. I think the story is actually really interesting.
Yeah.
I found the film entertaining with its telling of the story. But as it states in that Tom Ford review, and it goes through the entire thing, it's a tale that is real life, and it's a tale of murder.
Yeah,
it is dark, it is gritty, and Ridley Scott's lens, let's say, his vision, comes through like that. This is a very washed and clinical looking film. It looks along the lines of All the Money in the World. Another Ridley Scott film, which is really good. It looks like that. And I'm like, okay, you've set this scene, you've set the way that it looks, and it's a story about murder. Why then make it screwball? Why be so, like, campy and off the wall? It just doesn't make any sense. There must be a loss of communication somewhere.
There has to be.
Yes.
There has to be. It's... man. It sucks, because I was genuinely really looking forward to seeing this film as well.
Yes, definitely.
House of Gucci was one of those ones that I was excited to see, but unfortunately we've just kind of missed out on. And now I don't know.
What's the best thing? Costume design and set design in this
Costume
thing.
design and set design are good. The
Yes.
costume is good. It's Gucci. You have to make it good.
Yes.
And
it does feel like Gucci.
It does
you
feel
know what
Gucci.
I mean?
It does. Lady Gaga and Adam Driver are really good. Hell, I'd even say they're worth seeing it for.
Yes.
Because they're entertaining. And at least Jared Leto is so bad he's good.
Yes.
To a point that it's entertaining to watch. So it's not like you're going to go see this film and get nothing out of it.
It's 2 hours 37 minutes. I didn't necessarily feel that
No,
runtime.
I didn't feel the length either.
Until maybe the very end.
Which is interesting. Because you would think that you would. But for some reason you didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's... yeah.
The third act, I remember we were talking about this as well. The third act feels like where the film starts to lose its steam.
Yeah.
However, bizarrely, the third act should be the most exciting part of the film.
Mm-hmm.
Without giving like so much away. It's weird how that works out. I loved
strange.
seeing the chemistry and the actual story of the family of Gucci's. But then when it gets to the actual meat and potatoes of this film, I'm like, I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
It's a bonkers film.
It's very strange.
Yeah.
It's very all over the place. But it's, it's a film and at least it exists and you can maybe see it if you like to see it. But, yeah. House of Gucci.
House of Gucci.
It is what it is.
Give me one last. Bravo.
Bravo!
There we go.
Bravo. Right.